what up everybody? Welcome back to another Breachin episode where I take a Filipino blanket and a waterproof Bible and tell a short lesson on a beach. Today we are at Forbidden Island here on the island of Saipan, and Pastor Justin and myself are going to tell you 3 simple things that you need to do to follow God and be a better person from
Micah chapter 6.
So if you want to see the entire Breachin series or more videos from Forbidden Island, the links will be in the description below. All right, check out this intro video. Hey, what up? I'm Pastor Mattie Ice. Have you met my wife, Victoria?
We love to go on adventures around the world.
And while we're adventuring, we like to take naps and eat snacks in caves, coves, and cafes.
When we're not doing that, we're raising money for clean running water projects.
Go on an adventure with us by hitting that subscribe button
as we eat snacks around the world.
Hey, what up everybody? We made it down and Forbidden Island is right there. Isn't it so cool and so beautiful? I love the waters coming in from both sides. Today we're going to be reading from Micah chapter 6 verses 6 through 8. And in that, it's so simple. They're just really easy instructions of how we can serve God and live for Him and live with one another. And it makes me think of the trek from the top down to here. See, I emphasize to my students, especially the younger ones, that it is so simple to get to God. So simple. It's not easy because He talks about elsewhere in the Bible that, narrow is the gate to get to Him. It's difficult. He also talks about, if you have a ton of money, it's like a camel going through the eye of the needle, and that eye and their time was like the gate of the city wall, and to get the camel with all the stuff, and he was using that illustration. It's very difficult, but it's simple. See, to get from up top, the overlook, down to here, there's a trail, and people have cut little footholds, and there are ropes to get down. Is it easy? No. But is it simple? Yes. So Justin's going to talk about, he's going to set the stage of what's going on in the book of Micah and the minor prophets in general as we're coming to the end of the Old Testament and the end of that time period before Jesus comes. And then we'll look at Micah chapter 6 verses 6 through 8.
So the beautiful thing about Micah, like Pastor Matt's talking about, is he is setting the stage of wrath, coming wrath. And so God is really frustrated with not just mankind, He's really frustrated with the Israelites. They have done everything except what He wanted them to do. And so now He's talking to Micah, just like many of the minor prophets and leading up till even Malachi, very similar, about forthcoming destruction. The great thing is mid-book, we find that God switches His tone from destruction to the promise of the king to Bethlehem. And so in this, we find that the coming king that was promised to David is still going to come, and he is going to actually absorb or take all that wrath upon himself. And so with that, we find later on in Micah some great principles. We'll cover that in just a few minutes.
So we'll start with verses 6 and 7. I love Micah chapter 6, verses 6 through 8, because they're just set apart. And in the headings here, it says, what does the Lord require? So we already know what it's going to look at. So let's read verses 6 through 7, and I read out of the ESV. It's the waterproof Bible. You can check the link in the description below if you want that, to where you can, study anywhere and take it, live out your faith anywhere. But verses 6 through 7 say, with what shall I come before the Lord? What am I going to bring to God? And how am I going to bow myself before God on high? Shall I come before Him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old, like with perfect things? Should I come with my future, with my hope? Should I come with that? Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, with 10,000 of rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? Should I give these things, especially in a limited goods society, where maybe getting another cow, or especially a young calf, we're getting these rams, we're getting oil, we're getting these things might be difficult, where life expectancy might not be as long, where children might die more frequently because, they don't have the medical care that we have and their illnesses? Shall I give these things and trust? Like, what shall I give to God? How is he going to be pleased? Because as Pastor Justin said, they hadn't been doing it right. And they've been trying to just buy off God's greatness and buy off his love. And then in verse 8 it says,
He has told you, oh man, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? And these three things: but to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with your God. And so in those 3 points we find that first off, we're supposed to follow what is known in the Bible as the golden rule. Do unto other people as you want them to do to you. Obviously, if you go around putting people down all the time, then don't expect anything else. But on the other side, we're supposed to love people, cherish people, take care of them, right? And then love kindness. And so in other translations, you'll find they'll say love mercy. And so mercy is that free love that God endows to us or sheds to us. And even in Micah, we find the promise once again of the coming Messiah who would do that completely, that he would lay down his own life so that we could find love, that we could find everlasting love, and then walk humbly with God. And so to be humble is, I gave an illustration this last Sunday about how Peter is looking at Jesus as he is trying to wash his feet. He's like, Jesus, what are you doing? You're too good for that. And then Jesus simply says, hey, if you don't let me do this, you can't go to heaven. And Peter changes his tune so quickly. He's like, Lord, just go ahead and wash all of me, take care of all of me. So we really need that servant's mindset to tie the first 2 points together. So do justly, do things that are going to impact people for the God's kingdom. Love the kindness you've been shown, pass it on. And then just be as humble and as servant-like as Christ was. Not a better you, but a better you in her view of who Jesus is.
As I mentioned earlier, those are all difficult things. Seeing ourselves as not the best, seeing other people as God's creation. I mean, when sometimes we're like, man, people are so dumb, right? But then they say that about us too. But we put ourselves on this pedestal and we lower other people, and we're like, how can we do justice because it was their situation that put them there? And how can we be kind because they're just going to be rude again to me? And how can I be humble because I have such greatness. God made me excellent. We get all of these things. It's not easy. But just like trekking down from the top down to here, it's simple. Just follow the path of Jesus. Pastor Justin said at the beginning, it showed that Micah points us to Jesus. He is the way and he is the truth and he gives us life. It's simple. You follow him, you follow what he says in his word. It's not going to be easy. It's not easy for us to take ourselves down and humble ourselves. It's not easy to give justice to other people when we don't think they deserve it. But it's simple. God tells us to do it, and we do it. Make it down. Speaking of just do it, we got to get back up to the top now. So we're going to do that. Hey, if you want to see other videos of us and Victoria around the world, Victoria, what do they need to do?
Subscribe.
Hit that subscribe button. You can watch the whole Breachin series by clicking somewhere. I'm Pastor Mattie Ice.
I'm Pastor Justin.
I'm Victoria.
Wherever you are in the world, stay chill and float on.